Since we already know what is a CPR and how a CPR is implemented, so it is a time for us to discuss the advantages and the disadvantages of a CPR. So here is some of the advantages of CPR, where the first advantages is related to reduce the knowledge acquisitions efforts, meaning that reduce effort that is needed in order to obtain the knowledge. CPR can reduce that effort, and also CPR provide an explanation facilities along with incremental learning. Also, CPR, in terms of the concept, is a closer match to the human reasoning as it solves the new problem based on the previously experience, and also a CPR make a use of the existing data that is related to the previous addressed problems with their solutions. In terms of disadvantages, a CPR has a main disadvantage that is related to its lazy learning algorithm. So now let us discuss in details these advantages and disadvantages of CPR. So concerning to the first advantage that is related to reduces the efforts that is required in obtaining the knowledge. CPR can reduce that effort comparing to the traditional case-based system. As you can be seen here, obtaining the general knowledge in the traditional knowledge-based system is a quite difficult compared to the CPR. Why? Because the traditional knowledge-based system obtain the knowledge from the domain experts and the knowledge engineer. However, obtaining the knowledge from the domain expert and the knowledge engineer can be quite questionable and difficult. Why is it questionable and difficult? Because of the two issues here that is related to technology gap and the knowledge gap. So what is a technology gap that may occur while extracting the knowledge in the traditional knowledge-based system? Technology gap is related to the case where the domain expert is unwilling to involve in the extraction process of the knowledge due to the lack of understanding of the technology, while the knowledge gap issue is related to the case where the knowledge engineer finds a difficulties in contacting or communicating with the domain experts during the extraction process because the knowledge engineer initially has a less domain knowledge than the domain expert. So the issues of a difficulties in communicating can be raised. So with the existing of a technology gap and the knowledge gap, do you think that the knowledge base that are going to be developed and used by traditional knowledge based system is strong enough? Don't think so, because the correctness of rule-based developed will be questionable with the existence of the issues of a technology gap and the knowledge gap. However, case-based reasoning require a less general knowledge because most of the knowledge about the previously problems along with their solution stored in the case base, and the case is easier to be obtained, or sometimes the new problem that is going to be saved is already exist in the case base, and most of the cases already available in the case base. That's why a CPR can reduce the knowledge acquisition effort compared to the traditional knowledge. So in CPR systems, the classical extraction of the knowledge that is used in a traditional knowledge-based system and the classical knowledge engineering is replaced by the case accusation and structuring. So this is about the first advantage of the CPR on how the CPR reduce the required efforts in obtaining the knowledge. The second advantage of the CPR that is related to the ability of CPR in providing an explanation facilities. Firstly, let us raise a question here. What is the meaning of explanation facilities and what is the importance of having the explanation facilities in intelligence system? Explanation facilities is a module which enables the system to provide an explanation to the user. This explanation is regarding why is the system asking a question and how it reached some conclusion. In doing so, it is a way where the user or human can trust the reasoning that is derived or done by the system through the explanation facilities that is already provided to the user. Thus, the need of explanation facilities is really important to have in an intelligent system, since the reasoning utilize it in assisting the decision making process. So how this can be done in CPR? This can be done in CPR where the CPR stores the previous or the old experience and cases in a case base, and with the availability of the case base, the CPR would be able to recall the previous cases and provide an explanations by asking the user based on previous experience stored in the case base, and this will lead to solve the new problem as we discussed that in the process called a retrieval in the first cycle. So this is what we mean by explanation facilities. So concerning to the next advantage of CPR that is related to the incremental learning, let us first define what does mean by the incremental learning. Incremental learning is referred to a learning methods where the algorithms has an ability to incorporate a new knowledge to the existing knowledge to suit the available data, meaning that the CPR learning has an ability of learning a new knowledge without forgetting the old knowledge. This is what we have already noticed when we discuss the CPR cycles, where the new cases are added to the existing cases in the case base. Having an incremental learning is really advantage because learning a new data or knowledge or informations without losing or forgetting a previous knowledge is really issue in a learning algorithms. On another hand, a CPR has a disadvantage that is related to its lazy learning algorithm. Lazy learning is a learning method in which the generalization beyond the training data is delayed until the query is made to the system. This is a really difference from another type of a learning is called eager, where the system tries to generalize the training data before receiving the query. So with the disadvantage of a lazy learning, this can lead us to the two main issues here. First issue is related to being slow in doing the evaluation. Another issue is related to inability to deal with the large set of data. This is because the large space will be needed to store the entire training data sets. This make a CPR to be not really suitable for a large data as the high memory or storage and a time-consuming retrieval will be raised as a main issue in using a CPR system with a large case bases. So we came to the CPR application part where I'm going to just highlight the CPR application in a different sector of our life. So CPR application has been implemented in the medical sector, such as the automatic monitoring wound healing, where this system utilizes the CPR in monitoring the wound healing for the patients. So with the using of such system, the medical sector is expected to reduce the number of the staff, and this will assist them to save a time and the money that is needed for professional to do the manual checking for the patient's wound. Also, we do have a CPR applications such as a traffic pattern recognition, where the CPR is implemented as a part of the intelligence-based management system in managing the traffic. And the detail of this application is given to you. You can read. Also, the CPR application is implemented in education sector. Here an example, which is an intelligence tutoring system to improve the e-learning system in terms of enhancing the decision-making process. And the detail of the intelligent tutoring system can be found here. You can read the detail of these tutoring systems in the given descriptions. So, so to summarize our lecture, we have talked about the CPR and the CPR cycle, and in CPR we do have a similarity measure in order to match the new cases with the old cases, and we discussed how the CPR imitate the human in making the decision, and a CPR have its own advantage and a disadvantage comparing to other AI techniques. So here the reference if you want to read more about today's lecture. We came to the end of our lecture. I would like to thank you for your attention and tumbalagi next class. Thank you very much.